Day 16 of the Gary Vaynerchuk push-up challenge, and I do not feel like doing this. But I'm gonna do it. Let me see if I'm in the frame. I am. Am I in the frame? Yeah. Fuck. I kind of was a big baby today. I went to work last night. Exhaling makes me to where I can breathe easier. I don't have to pant. I learned that from watching people and Wim Hof. But I did not feel like doing this. I went to, yesterday was, my days get mixed up. Monday, I did not work Sunday night. So Monday night, I go to work at 7. So I was up a little bit on Sunday night, and on Monday, I did some things, and then I went 8 before I went to work, and then I went to work, worked all night, came home, went to sleep, and I'm completely fasted. It's not quite been 24 hours since I fasted, but it's it has been close. It's like maybe 20 hours. And I'm trying not to rub myself or scratch myself because I'm on video. But I'm learning. Anyway, this is all practice. But I want you to know where I'm at. So I am in a fasted state. I'm in a still kind of sleep deprived state because even though I slept like 6 or 7 hours, which is fine for me a lot of nights, yeah, I'm just wore out because it happened over like a day and a half time period. So anyway, I did not want to do anything. So when I got out of bed at 3, I meditated for like 10 minutes, kind of collected my thoughts and thought, do I want to do this first? It's snowing outside. Do I want to shovel the walk? Usually I try to do the hardest emotional thing first because that's what Leo on actualize.org said. If you don't know what to do, try the hardest emotional thing first. Meaning, if you don't feel like confronting your ex-wife or or talking to that person at work that you guys don't get along for some reason, and apologize to them, do that first. So there's so much going on. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to do push-ups. So I was sitting on the bed trying to organize my thoughts and think that. And I have a niece whose mom is in the hospital. A few days ago, I'll say, I'm getting this mixed up because time just gets so messed up for me. Because I work nights and also because of the holidays. But she's been in the hospital now a few days, 2 or 3 days before Christmas. Anyway, a day or two before Christmas, she went into cardiac arrest and they revived her. And they had her on a ventilator, took her off, but then they put her on the ventilator after that. And then that's when I found out about it. So I called the family and we all kind of rallied and been praying. She is a niece by marriage who is now divorced and out of the family. And we're all Christians. We were raised Christians. We also... and her in-laws profess to be good Christians, and I think are, but since the divorce, it's been pretty hard and messy, and they haven't treated her very nicely, honestly, at all. We led her to the Lord, and now she's kind of like kicked out on the street. Not really, but emotionally, it's rough. I've been in trouble just talking to her. So anyway, I've been praying for her. I've been praying for I've been asking the family to pray for her, and just to think of her and her mom. And through that, I have learned from multiple people and studies that if people think about people who are in the hospital, if they wish good thoughts on them, think about them, they actually can get better, even if that person doesn't know that people are rallying behind them. So that's what I've been doing. And it was on Christmas Eve. She started to do really, really well, I think, or the day before Christmas Eve, she started to do really, really well after all of that. And then they found extra CO2 in her lungs, in her bloodstream, actually. And so that concerned them. She was struggling, and so they asked my niece if she would authorize that they do a tracheotomy, and she authorized it, and they put the trach through her throat to suck out the liquid, the fluid, and the pus that's inside her and her lungs. And so far, I haven't heard anything. My niece, she was going to go see her mom on Christmas Day at 10 o'clock, and I've been in contact with her, texting her, wishing her well, just letting her know that we're all still thinking of her, and that I'm thinking of her, and still praying. And she thanked me and said Happy Christmas, but I haven't heard anything since then. And I've told her not to worry about contacting me and the family and keeping us up to date. If she wishes to do that, that's fine. But no news is good news. But I'm always thinking about it. I'm always trying to, because it's a hard time to lose someone during the holidays. We lost a man at work. He was 44 years old, and this is the second leg of the COVID virus. This isn't the first leg. We've been with this for almost 2 years now. So anyway, my last video, I said that last night and yesterday I've had ants, automatic negative thoughts, and they're just, I didn't know why. I was struggling. I was fighting them. And at work, it's not like I just suddenly get negative thoughts and they appear and I can think, oh, there's a thought. I can think about that, or don't have to think about that. But no, it's like I feel antsy. I feel tired. I feel anxious. And suddenly a thought comes at about the same time this anxiousness comes, and pretty soon I'm in the thought. It's like it's me. And it's like I'm back in that old situation. And there I am trying to change history, saying I should have yelled at them or done something different. And it's like this theater, and suddenly I'm starting to go through this whole scenario in my head while I'm trying to work. And suddenly I realize this is a fabrication, it's a dream. And before I even think this is a realization, before I even have the realization that I'm in this crazy loop, for some reason, I just for a second become aware, and I out loud, at work it's very noisy at my job, thank God. Because out loud when I'm working, I suddenly just say, stop! Stop! Stop, Bob! Quit it! You've done this. This is over. This happened. And to use a line from Tom Bilyeu, I say, okay, that happened. Now what? It was unfortunate, it was bad, but now what? Does this serve me? To speak for Tom Bilyeu. Does this move me toward my goal? All these are things that are helping me with the different influencers. And that's what Gary Vaynerchuk is the catalyst for me to do all this stuff. But I'm just saying, they have said, and they all preach this, if you don't feel like doing something, do anything. Just start moving. You can't, if your mind is bombarding you, use the body. Use the body to get out of this loop, to get out of the pattern interrupt. And so last night, I had to do that about 1,000,000 times. I just go in from one thing to another, and then I would start going into the thoughts. That's why at the last, I started doing Tom Bilyeu's thing. I started saying, pattern interrupt, and just saying you forgave them. But more importantly than, it steps and degrees. One day you can say, okay, but stop. I can talk to myself and say, wait a minute. This is over. It doesn't serve you anymore to talk about this, to think about this. It's done. So you forgave him, it's done. But your mind is like this fucking bitch. It just gets the subconscious. And so it keeps coming back. And it's not really your subconscious's fault, because it's what you yourself say every day. If you say, oh, I'm stupid, pretty soon your subconscious says, okay, you're stupid. And so I need to change that. But I was raised watching parents do it. And they were raised watching their parents do it. And before I'm even 6 or 7, I've got these habits that I think are ingrained. And the monks, there's some kind of monks that say, show me a child at 7 and I will show you the man. And so all these things I'm having to dig myself out of. And I hear everybody say, when you're in these loops and you're angry and you're doing off on these crazy things, or you're out of control screaming, yelling at someone, or you're asleep, you're emotionally asleep. And when I first heard that, I said, how can that be? I'm asleep. I don't feel asleep, I feel awake. And then somebody said, when you're in a dream though, and you're running from a tiger, or you're falling out of the air, it's real, you're screaming, you're out, but then you wake up, it was a dream. Same thing. You're not emotionally present. You're not in the present moment. You're either worrying about the future and building up a big story about that, or you're thinking about the past and trying to change it and think how you could better that situation. And all of that is a waste of time, and all of that is a time to forget that you're in the present moment. And this is what we have. And whether you're rich or not, or poor, and we're all in the same boat. And it's not necessarily that people are viciously pissed off and after you. Most of the things they do to you is out of total ignorance. Just like what I do to myself and to others is out of total ignorance. And then on top of that, it's like two little kids. One little kid will bump a little kid, like 2-year-olds or 3. One will bump one. And the other one thinks you bumped me, and he pushes. Or the other one pushes, and then he gets mad. And then they do want to do harm to each other. Where it started out just being unaware. And so this is what I've struggled with. But good, I'm actually learning. At 66 and a half, it's about time. But I am finally learning. When I get through these pattern interrupts, I try to use kindness and patience and empathy to myself and my parents and my enemies. And then when I say, listen, I forgave them, more importantly, I need to forgive myself, and I forgive myself. But more importantly, I need to ask forgiveness of them, because I participated in this. I possibly did the first cut. I drew first blood, maybe not even knowing it, or maybe not first blood, but I still was a participant in it. And I could have stopped anywhere along the line. And I can stop now. And one of the things that was also good, I'm thinking these negative thoughts, why this? Well, first of all, it's making me present. It's also exercising me to be aware of these and to get out of these thought loops. So, you think, why is this happening? Well, it's a good practice. And why is it happening when I'm tired and weak? Well, because I got to learn to do it. When you see enlightened people, it's kind of a jip. Because enlightened people, they sit there and they tell you, I've searched this for years and years and years, and I became enlightened. Well, good for you. It says, I was searching and working real hard at it, but it was so easy to become enlightened. But yet I can't express it. Nobody can. You just have to experience it. So it's like winning the lottery. But yet they act like it's something you can't achieve. Well, once you've achieved it, you know you can achieve it, and you keep achieving it. But when you first become enlightened, like when you're being born, it's a gift. It's grace. I don't care who you are, even if you're the Buddha. He got underneath a tree and he wanted to go and become enlightened, and he just sat there until he was gone, but it still was grace. He became enlightened just out of grace. But I don't care how many enlightened people there are in the world, they're not perfect. Becoming enlightened may be the best thing in the world, and it may make them more compassionate, it may make them more kind, but in some ways it makes them less patient. Because they sit there and they're like, how can people be so silly? I can see it in their faces sometimes. Enlightenment isn't that difficult, but it is. It is. And they forget that when they became enlightened, it was out of grace that they became enlightened. And so you need to be graceful. Plus, most people who become enlightened lose their drive because their priorities change. And so they just sit back. They don't do the day-to-day, or it seems like they don't do the day-to-day. And they just tell people, oh, you can just do this and this and this. And people shower them with food, or they find other ways to live. They're not in the nitty-gritty. And that's what I'm trying to show, that I'm in the nitty-gritty of all this. And I'm trying to work this out. I'm trying to work a job and try to do this and try to be kind to my 3 ex-wives if I see them, or if I don't see them, at least how I can be a better man for other people that I know and work with. So that's what I'm rambling about. And I'm not good at YouTube, and I don't know how to video. I don't know how to edit. And I'm going to try to take a class on that, but I don't have much time. I work a full-time job, and things have been crazy. But I just want you to know what I'm struggling with, and that when I'm struggling, I think, why does this happen? And again, I have to stop. Just like on the other videos that I talked about, I just have to stop and say, wait a minute. This isn't happening to me. This is happening for me. This is an excellent opportunity to address this. This is an excellent opportunity to fix this. It's an excellent opportunity to be grateful and to be mindful of my present. And now that I'm mindful of my present, oh yeah, my niece, her mom is still in the hospital. Her mom is still struggling for her life. There's nobody else in the family that really wants this job of thinking about my niece. And so I need to do it. And if I don't feel like doing the push-ups, I should do my push-ups. If I don't feel like praying for my niece, I should pray for my niece. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And it's not easy. And I'm not perfect. And I've been a terrible person in the past. And I've been a good person in the past. I'm just like everyone else. I'm capable of doing things. My face right now is getting completely numb. And about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I was at work, and my whole left side started getting to be numb. It really made me scared, so I went to the nurse at work and talked to them, and they said, you probably need to drink more water and all this. And then I went to the emergency room after that because it happened again. It happens for like 15, 20 minutes, the whole side. Well, this is something different. It's like just like the side of my face. I don't smell burnt toast, so I don't think I'm having a stroke. But I'm just saying this for everybody out there. What I did do is, as I meditate, sometimes I start to fall asleep. When I fall asleep, my chin goes like this, and usually it hurts, and so it wakes me up. Well, now I'm so used to it that my head can just hang. The weight of my head can hang. But I noticed that after that, 20 or 30 minutes after that, I go through these numbing spells. And then I looked online, because YouTube is a wonderful place. And they said, you know, if you have a pinched nerve or an irritated nerve in your neck, in your back, in your anywhere along there, and you start experiencing numbness on one side or the other, usually it's a nerve that's being touched or that. Or if you feel a cold sensation, and I feel cold sensation in this finger here, you can see it's starting to get white and also down. They said that could be a sign of nerve. Well, I started to where whenever I fall asleep or whenever I start to doze off and my neck does hang, that I in fact stop and do something else, and I've not had these things anymore, these numbness. Now, today, did I do that? No, I didn't. But when I do these push-ups, I do feel a strain in the middle of my back and also between my two shoulder blades. And if you saw that I did the push-ups, but then I also did these counter exercises, and because I was wussy and I didn't want to do it, usually, and I avoided making this video. I avoided doing the push-ups. Usually when I avoid something, when I finally do it, I punish myself. I go just a little bit further if I can. And I did. I went a little bit further on the push-ups, and I definitely went further on this. And so I think it's either in the neck or maybe the lower back that I do irritate that nerve. And so I'm just trying to, again, share my thoughts, because when it first happened to me, I was very nervous. And a friend of mine, I said, you know, I don't know, I might be having a stroke, but they don't know anything. The doctors can't see anything. And he goes, well, do you want my opinion? I said, yeah. He says, I was at work, and suddenly my whole left side went numb. He says, I thought I was going crazy, but he says, I was passing a kidney stone and didn't know it. And so later I tested him. I talked to him, not tested him, but I asked him more questions about it. And I said, were you in pain? He goes, oh yeah, I was in lots of pain. Well, I wasn't me. I knew that wasn't me. But I'm just just him telling me that gave me hope that, okay, I'm not having a stroke. It's not circulatory, and it can be something else. And so with me, it's not a circulatory issue. I do have low blood pressure, and when I cut myself, I don't bleed very much. And so that's something that I have to be concerned about. And I don't really seem to have very good circulation because my hands get cold easy and stuff. So I'm going to have to work on those things. But I've been working on a lot of stuff. I've been working on arthritis with diet, sleep, enemas, and intermittent fasting. And what was the big thing? The big things were cold showers. Cold showers, because when you're finally cold and shaking, suddenly your joints don't feel hurt. When you take your bare feet and you walk out on gravel, it kind of gives that. But when your feet are freezing cold and you're cold out of a cold shower, you can walk on gravel and not even bother you. It's funny. You think cold showers, oh, that's rough to do, but cold therapy does do wonders for helping you become more hardy and do certain things, and to deal with stress, and also get your brown fat up. All these things. So didn't want to do any of it. But I was also tired of the struggle and of the pain and of the limitations that I was suddenly starting to feel in older age. And now that I've been going through these things, every morning I do a regimen. Life is better. Now, it doesn't feel great to do yoga every morning. It doesn't feel great to do stretches. It doesn't feel great to do these push-ups. But if I do them all in the morning, suddenly my whole day is free and great, and I feel young. And if I don't do it, then the whole day isn't as good. And the next day, if I don't do it, it's even worse and worse and worse. In the meantime, I'm building strength, I'm building stamina, I'm building credibility with myself, and I'm making my body become hardier. And it's not being Wim Hof, another person who I met through Tom Bilyeu and through Tai Lopez and through Gary Vaynerchuk, all these different influencers that I follow. It's funny, when you jump down one rabbit hole, you find all these things. But Wim Hof, get back on my track so I don't get lost. Wim Hof says, a rabbit is a rabbit until the day he dies. And so, meaning that you don't have to say anything's just old age or I need to give up. No, your body changes. Every 7 years, everything in your body changes. So when a man stands in a river, you've heard me say this millions of times if you know me, but if it's the first time you're watching this video, it says a man stands in a river only once. Because the next time, it is a different man and he is in a different river. Or you can say it, that's not exactly the quote. I said it backwards, but it's still the same thing. You know, you change. The river changes and the man changes. And I'm not going to beat a dead horse. But anyway, again, I'm not struggling. There's nothing good or bad in heaven or earth. Only thinking makes it so. I'm just wandering through this journey, and these are the issues that I'm dealing with. And I also am thinking, when I finally do learn, how to edit. I need to finish my words, so you can't hear the thoughts in my head, can you? They're really loud with me. Because the thoughts in my head are like, oh, you got to say this. Oh, you got to say that. Why are you rambling? I mean, all those things. You just need to quiet my mind. But I can picture, if I ever do a video and I know how to edit, I could picture making a little scene where I'm talking and my subconscious talks. I've always thought of this, and then later I follow Peter McKenna and other people and comedy people. They do that. They'll be talking, and suddenly you'll see their other self come walking in and talk to them. Well, that's what's going on all the time in my head. And so to express this so you guys can see it, can make sense of it. So that's what I would like to show with video sometime. And I've kind of lost my train of thought about where I was going with that one specific thought. But these are the things that I deal with, these negative thoughts. Now I remember my thought. I think, everybody thinks that their mind is in control. It's not. Your subconscious is driving the car. Your subconscious is driving the car. I sit there and I think, oh, I'm getting all these negative thoughts. Stop. I can control it. Well, I can control it to an extent, but it's not, I caused it. My mind caused my subconscious to do this because day in and day out, I practiced being resentful. I practiced remembering these old thoughts and acting them out. I practiced all this. And so if I do make a video where my subconscious is bothering me and I'm arguing with my subconscious, I have to turn and say, but it's not necessarily, even though you're driving this car, you make me want to eat. You make me want to grab a marshmallow or not a marshmallow, but you want me to grab a Snickers bar when I'm not really hungry. You want me to yell at someone when I know it was my fault. That's the driving force. That's what makes us want to do this, is the subconscious. But it was the conscious part that built that up. And so these negative thoughts and negative lifestyle happened over years and years and years, just like being overweight. And so going back to the gym and starting a regimen to not go over it, to not be overweight anymore, requires practice and time and little incremental steps. And those little incremental steps require, doing the hard things. and doing the hard things first, but then your life gets better. Again, it's hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life. And I've made easy choices most of my life. And usually, and it's rewarded. We all know this. You can look at the bodybuilders and the people who are famous. They are famous because they did the hard work first. It's hard to work and make your body look great. It takes a long time. And so someone came up to Arnold Schwarzenegger once and said, you know, I want to work out, I want to build muscle, but I want to look like you. And Arnold said, don't worry, you won't. Because you're not putting in the time. You're not doing the work. And so if someone is, it doesn't matter where you're from. Steve Martin said it best. He says, be so good that they can't ignore you. And Steve Martin and all these influencers and Gary Vaynerchuk and all the people that follow them, people say, well, how can I get this? How can I do this? How can this? And basically what they're all trying to say is just become good. Just become the best at your field. And even if you don't achieve the fame and the fortune that everybody else is, you gain the satisfaction of yourself, of a life well lived. And I'm 66 and a half years old now. And I finally realized that last night when I'm going through these negative thoughts and these loops and thinking about my niece and praying for her. So all these things don't happen to me. All these things don't happen to us. They happen for me. And they happen for us. It's just, are you going to be paralyzed by it? I was. Are you going to give up? And yeah, I did. Tom Bilyeu did. Tom Bilyeu for a long time just laid in bed and didn't do something. Didn't get up out of bed and because he just felt, I don't know, depressed. I don't know. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, he laid in bed for a long, long time. We've all been through it. We've all wanted to do it, but I'm just here to try to encourage you. I usually do 2 videos. This is a long video. It's going to be 1 video today because I've got to do the shovel. It's 32 minutes. Nobody's ever going to listen to this. But if anybody does, maybe it will help. But I'm just trying. This is day 16. I'm just trying to get better. I'm not going to look at this. I'm just going to put it out on the internet and on YouTube and show my ass, show my mistakes. But God bless you. Stay safe. Pray for you. Pray for myself. Pray for my niece. And if you don't believe in a higher being, if you don't believe in awareness as being anything, because it really isn't anything. When they say there is no God, it is kind of true, because I think God is awareness, and I think awareness is just all knowledge. Whether you realize it's knowledge or not knowledge, it's all knowledge, and it's all documented. It's like dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are not forever. In fact, they're extinct. But the fact that there were dinosaurs is a fact that will go on to infinity. Can't be changed. And so, even though there aren't dinosaurs anymore, that fact will go on forever. And that fact is actually nothing. And you can look at this book. You can look at planets. You can look at anything solid. What's the difference between this book and the glob of all the other things that are solid in the universe? Is nothingness. There's more or less, more nothingness in this book that makes it a book. And people, our bodies are more water than anything. But in between that water, all those molecules, what is there? There's space. And you can go to infinity, and you'll still find something smaller and smaller and smaller. But actually, there is space. So if you take everything in the whole world, in the universe, everything, planets, everything, does anything last forever? No. But yet, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, they came together at the same time. There was never, ever one before the other. So it's both. So which came first? Planets and everything, or nothing? Well, it came at the same time. Because if you take everything in Leo at actualize.org talked about this for hours. He says if you take everything in the whole universe, everything that's gas, everything that's in a universe, and planets come and go. But if you take all that and you push that into a great big glob, so let's say it looks like a big piece of granite. Okay, you've got that granite. That's everything we know that's physical in this world. Gold, all the elements, everything. And you say you want to make a statue of David. What's the difference between that big block of marble and a statue of David? Well, nothingness, space. That's the only thing. You carve that out and suddenly you make that unique. So, if our universe is like an iceberg, and everything in it, or every universe, or everything in this reality is like an iceberg, the tip of the iceberg is the physical things. The physical things, the planets, the things, the gas, everything. The big part of the iceberg that makes the iceberg is nothing. Is nothing. That's most of what our bodies is. That's most of what the planets are. That's most of what space is. And there's certainly more nothingness in space than there is in a piece of gold. But there's still nothingness there. And it goes to infinity. No matter how big you go and how small you go, nothing. So the only thing, can you say that days and water is infinite? No. Can you say that snow is infinite? No. Every snowflake is unique. And it will be from the beginning of time to the end of time, because there's different properties. Every snowflake is unique. And every snowflake lasts for only a very, very short moment for us. But we only last a short moment for time. But anyway, all these things, it's nothingness. And so snowflakes don't certainly last forever. Does snow last forever? No, of course not. But is the fact that it's always snowing somewhere in the universe, even if it's not considered water, or even if it is considered water, isn't it true that it could be snowing somewhere forever and always has been? Do planets last forever? No, probably not. Do all the elements last forever? No, probably not. They get, because whole universes come and go. Whole galaxies come and go. But the fact that there always has been galaxies, the fact that there's always been planets, that there always has been, and there always will be space, and there always has been different realities, and there always will be, that fact is infinite. And so, in our reality, the only thing that we can point to that actually is infinite, not time, not space, anything, is nothingness. That's the only thing we can speak that we know in our grasp our intelligence to know that the one thing that is infinite is nothing. So when I say nothing is infinite, meaning nothing is infinite, but also I mean that actual nothing itself is infinite. And nothing is awareness. Nothing is a higher conscious. And even if we all go away, it doesn't take away the fact that atoms will still be atoms, even though nobody will know that atoms are atoms, because they don't know what we didn't know we called atoms atoms. And the French call it something else. But aliens would call it something else. But it still doesn't take away the fact that that knowledge is there. We realized hundreds of years ago that our heart pumps our blood. We didn't know it until then. But the fact that the heart pumped the blood has been forever. We just discovered it. We didn't create it. We talk about creating all these new things. No, we didn't create anything. We discovered this shit. So, anyway, I'm learning the importance of doing nothing. I'm learned the importance of nothing. And when people say God doesn't exist, in some ways, the atheists are more godlike and more understanding of God than the people who profess to be Christian, because they're sitting on the same. Love and hate are the horns on the same bull. You think they're opposites, they're not. And so atheism and Christianity, same thing, same bull. Happy, anger, same thing. The opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is indifference. And it's hard to constantly be indifferent until you don't exist anymore. But anyway, I'm rambling. If this helps you, and if it sounds like this doesn't make any sense, just let me leave you with this one thought. Einstein said two things. First of all, he said that smart people seem crazy to dumb people. So if you see something that people are raving about, and you think, oh, that's not really very good, that's really very good, really stop and study it and look at it. Look how long it took to think about, and look at that person. Is that person's life pretty good? Maybe you ought to listen to that. Maybe you shouldn't just dismiss it. And the second thing that Einstein said, he said, people have a choice, a very profound choice. He says, do they want the choice? Do they want to believe that they live do they want to believe that they live in a hostile or friendly universe? That's your choice. That's their choice, is what Einstein said. I'm just spewing this information. Knowledge is power. It's not. Applied knowledge is power. I'm showing you how I heard these things, and you're hearing them all before, but I'm applying them. And as I apply them, you will see that I will get better. But you're watching it. You don't watch Arnold do his pumps every fucking day, and then you just see his arms better after a year or so. But you don't see the day-to-day. That's what I'm showing you. I'm showing you my day-to-day. I'm showing you that I'm 66 and a half years old. And I keep saying the half because I live in America. And in America, that's when I can, in fact, retire. Retire with full benefits. But I'm not retiring with full benefits because I want to stay working. I will possibly start pulling benefits next year. But I want to do my income taxes first, because my income went up these last 2 years with COVID, because I did a lot of overtime. Anyway, that's why I keep saying 66 and a half, because I'm at a point where most people would retire and kind of start to slack off. But I don't want to slack off. In fact, I want to do the opposite, because I want to actually, I did not know any of this. And it's never too late to get better. It's never too late to change and make your life better. And it is making my life better, although it's not easy, it's hard. But it certainly beats the alternative. Anyway, this is my journey. It's a long video. I pray for you and your family. And anyway, bow out.